Can kids benefit from low carb? Of course they can. I'm Dr. Cate Shanahan. I'm a family physician. I've been using low carb and nutrition in my practice for over 20 years. I actually lived on Hawaii for 11 years and had lots of people from the Philippines there, so I love Filipino food and I miss my Filipino patients. I'm in Florida now and I have a telehealth practice. What I want to talk about with you today is how nutrition is just so important for children. It's way more than weight. We're going to talk about how it changes us forever. Because low carb really means better nutrition. And that's a very simple way to explain why low carb is beneficial for everyone. It's better for kids, it's better for athletes. We'll see why. A good start in life lasts forever. So the most important time to be eating healthy is when we're the littlest. I want to show you how good nutrition can affect us in 4 ways. It can affect our height, our strength, our immune system health, and even our intelligence. Why do we want height? Well, it has a lot of advantages. People who are taller make more money, they're more successful at work, they're more likely to get married, especially boys, more so than girls. And with all these advantages, they end up being happier. This is a picture of Jeremy Lin. Jeremy Lin is a former NBA star. He was a superstar. If you heard of Lin Sanity, that was all about him. As a Chinese American, he was one of the shortest people in his classes growing up. And he did not like that. So he asked his mother, what could he eat? Because he wanted to be taller. She gave him some very good advice, and it worked, as you can see. He's taller than his parents by almost a foot, and his 2 younger brothers are doing what he did, and they're trying to catch up with him too. They're still growing in this photo here. These are the Dinka people in Sudan, Africa. They are the tallest in the world. What do they eat? Lots of dairy. They grow mostly cattle. And so they use the cattle in an interesting way because they don't just milk the cows. Yes, they milk the cows, but they also drain the blood periodically while the animal's alive from a big vein in their neck. And occasionally they also eat the meat. These 3 foods seem to have made them extremely tall. And it's not just the Dinka. There's a Maasai and there's a bunch of other folks that live in the similar area, do similar things, and they're all extremely tall. They also ate and still eat small amounts of grains, fruits, and vegetables. Unfortunately, as it's getting hotter, it's getting harder for these people to keep up their cattle. So they've actually lost a lot of height in the past few decades and aren't as tall as they used to be. That's the power of nutrition. Strength. Why do we want to be stronger? Well, as an athlete, strength gives us power, force. We can do everything that athletes need to do. But particularly, this thing that we want to be strongest is this type of tissue in our body called connective tissue. When that is stronger, we have fewer injuries, and when we have fewer injuries and more strength, we're more likely to succeed in sports. And not just as a kid, when our tissues are built right from the beginning, we're more likely to stay active our whole lives, and that keeps us healthy our whole lives. This is Manny Pacquiao. He's a famous boxer from the Philippines. And you cannot be a good boxer if you don't have super tough connective tissue. In an interview, I heard him say that he started his day, part of his training was to have a traditional Filipino soup that was made with broth. He had 2 bowls of that every single day. And it helped his connective tissue. At some point, unfortunately, a typical sports dietitian got a hold of him and they said, don't eat that, it's too fatty, have oatmeal instead. And that was not good for his career. He did not do too well after that. Connective tissue, that's the key to being strong. Connective tissue is the stuff that holds your muscle to your bones, keeps you from falling apart, so it's connective. If you have super strong muscles, but you don't have strong connective tissue, you're going to get injured. And in order to keep the food that keeps us strong, the food that is the best for our connective tissue is bone broth. What is bone broth? It's like a soup that we make from boiling bones it's not about the marrow of the bones, it's about the ends of the bones, the joint material on the ends of the bones, so that shiny cartilage, collagenous stuff. And also skin, so like chicken feet, that's a great source of bone broth. Lots of water and a few vegetables for some flavor. Helps the acid of the vegetables, helps to get more of these magical materials in all of this bones, joint, and skin into the broth. And what are those magical materials? They have names. Lots of chemicals called glycosaminoglycans and proteoglycans and collagen hydrolysate. People are making supplements of collagen hydrolysate and collagen and all this sort of stuff, but you don't need a supplement, and this is better. Bone broth is way superior, really, to any supplement you can get. Intelligence. Do athletes need to be intelligent? Of course. They need to make quick decisions. Do kids need to be intelligent? Of course. They've got a lot of learning to do. And more intelligence gives you greater success at school and at work, and it has these practical benefits. You're more able to solve problems in your life and in other people's lives. You can help people. You can make better decisions. You can make decisions faster when you're more intelligent. And you can also be more in touch with your emotions and other people's emotions if you have this kind of intelligence called emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence helps you process how you're feeling so that you don't have to, fester and molder and be angry and then act out in a temper tantrum. You can be more like adult, even when you're a child, and just say, hey, this made me sad. You can help other people because you can see how they're feeling, and you have that intelligence to be able to have empathy and help them out. So it's a really important aspect of intelligence that we don't talk about too much. We don't teach it in school, and we don't test for it. And how does food change any of this? Well, your brain is made out of pretty much two things: fat and protein. I did not say carbohydrate. The brain has no need for sugar. But in the doctor's office, in the commercials, we are always hearing about how all these sugary foods that we should be feeding our child. These foods have absolutely no benefit to a child's brain. Canned fruits, rice cereals, processed puffy things and crackers and other snack foods for babies, and juices have no nutrition that the brain needs. It does not help a baby's brain grow, and it does not help a child to be intelligent. The other thing I want to talk about is the immune system. These days, children's immune systems are having a lot of trouble. We're having more and more food allergies. More children are getting chronic allergies and asthma. We're having very serious problems like autoimmune disease, and children are not able to fight infections as efficiently as they used to be able to, as they could if their immune systems were healthy. The world is waking up to the fact that suddenly everybody's allergic to food. And why is that happening? Well, they kind of show you right here in the picture. We're eating a lot of garbage. So ice cream, lots of sugar, in the cone, lots of sugar, and also something else. The other ingredient in the food supply that has nothing to do with carbohydrates, it's not sugar, it's not flour, it's oil, vegetable oil, seed oils. There are 8 of them. I call them the hateful 8. canola, corn, cottonseed, soy, sunflower, safflower, grapeseed, and rice bran. These are in all junk foods. They're in a lot of restaurants. They're in a lot of fast foods. They're increasing in our food supply at an astronomical rate. Look at this graph. This graph shows that at the beginning of the 1900s, there was basically no seed oil in our food supply. There was also no measurable diabetes. These two lines here show that as we've been eating more seed oils, we've been getting more diabetes and prediabetes, and every other disease has been going up in parallel with diabetes and prediabetes. Now, the key thing here is looking at this carb line. We actually aren't eating a lot more carbs. Carbs went down for a little while and they came back up, but now they've leveled out. We're eating a lot more processed carbs and junk food than we were 100 years ago, more sugar and stuff, and that's bad. But really, I think seed oils, we need to be paying more attention to those too, because I think they are actually worse for us than sugar, and certainly we're eating a lot more of them than we used to. So getting back to carbs. High carbs means low nutrition. If you have a lot of carbohydrate-rich foods, you're getting a lot of sugar, you're not getting a lot of nutrition. Simple as that. What is a high carb food? Well, anything with these ingredients. Flour, lots of rice, lots of sugar, and lots of potatoes. These are some of the highest carb, starchiest foods out there, and they're some of the least nutritious. Anything made out of these ingredients, like French fries or donuts or deep fried foods or desserts and juices, also very high carb, no nutrition, low nutrition. And if they're made with vegetable oils, like these deep fried shrimp, like the fries and the potato chips and the donut and the muffin, all of these have vegetable oils in them. And I think those vegetable oils promote inflammation in a very, very powerful way. That's really, very bad for us. So on the other end of the spectrum is lower carb means more nutrition. And I want to show you this map because I like to study human history to try and figure out what people used to eat. And this map shows that we kind of evolved, we think, in Africa maybe 200,000 years ago. And we spread around the world over the course of the subsequent 200,000 years. So for thousands and thousands of years, we've been living all over the world. And we did not have access to fruit in most of these locations for most of the year. We certainly were not farming, wheat and rice or potatoes until very, very recently. What were we doing? That's a very important question. So it turns out when you look at thousands of different types of cuisines from all over the world, which is something I've done over the past 20 years, you find that there are 4 common principles everywhere. And they are low carb. You eat plants and animals, you eat them fresh, sometimes you cook them, you preserve them with salt and a process called fermentation that creates acid. And examples of fermented foods are yogurt, fish sauce, beer, chocolate. A lot of our favorite condiments were originally fermented foods. And these have benefits to our microbiome. That's why I bring them up. They're very important to know about fermented foods. And the other thing that we all did, the 4th principle, is that we would eat the whole animal. We didn't waste anything. We didn't just eat the muscle and throw away the rest for our animals like we do now. We boiled the bones to make bone stocks, and we ate the organs, which are full of vitamins and minerals. And liver is particularly important for a baby's growing brain. Bone marrow, the fat of the marrow, may be particularly important for immune system health. There's some unique nutrients in bone marrow that you don't get in anything else in the food supply. So what should we be eating? Well, traditional food. There's a lot of traditional foods, no matter where you are, whether you're in the Philippines or anywhere else. A lot of them are going to be superfoods, extremely healthy. So I just looked at this list of 10, which was really 11 because they had a picture of another one that was really healthy. And half of the 10 were a little bit high in carb, but half of the 10 were fantastic as is, no modification required. These are the good ones. Whatever this picture was in the beginning looks like lots of broth and healthy broth and vegetables. The rest of these are basically meat and vegetables and healthy fats from the animals And then here we have even organ meats showing up a little bit. We've got pig head and marinated liver. That is very exotic and got to be super healthy. These traditional foods are not as nutritious because they're higher in carb. Now, I'm showing these because a lot of folks will say things like, well, you can just substitute, right? You can do artificial sugars and you can do different kinds of flour. Instead of regular flour, you can use almond flour. I don't personally recommend that. I think it's better to just have the foods as they are, less often, right? Just, this isn't like zero carb, this is lower carb. So we can have these things periodically as a treat, not every day, not every meal. All around the world, people have eaten low carb, zero processed food for thousands of generations. That's what we need to do to be healthy now. That's how we build healthy humans from the beginning, from the ground up. Thank you very much for inviting me to be part of this exciting conference. I hope you're enjoying yourselves. And if you'd like to learn more about me, visit my website, drcate.com.